Mayor Eric Adams is speaking in Albany after meeting with state legislators this morning. Let's listen in.
Dangerous people are not on the street, just as we should do a good job of making sure weapons are not on the streets. And my heart goes out to the family. This is a devastating crime that took place, and we need to make sure that we close the loopholes that allow dangerous people to be on the street. So we use this term to identify everything that's wrong with the criminal justice system, but it's just more than that, and that's what my blueprint for change was attempting to point out.
Did lawmakers ask you about this today at the sessions that you had with them?
I'm sorry?
Did the lawmakers ask you about the incident in Chinatown at the sessions that you had with them?
We talked about a series of things, and we talked about and agree on that we want to make sure our city is safe, and I was really happy to sit down with my former colleagues up here and now my colleagues in government. We talked about a series of things of what we can do to ensure our city is safe.
Mayor, do you feel as though you should have started these conversations any earlier with the leadership or with Albany lawmakers? Do you feel like you would be having a different conversation had you kind of started it right out of the gate on some of the changes you were seeking?
Immediately after being elected, I sent up my top people. Ingrid, everybody knows that Ingrid, the role she plays in my political advisory. She came up here with a delegation and spoke with lawmakers, and many of them stated today, Eric, we're happy you did so. Many of the lawmakers I communicate in their districts. But when I started January 1st, I was a little busy. So I was on the ground in the city that elected me, and I said, once I get an opportunity, I'm going to come up and speak with my leaders and talk with them. But I had my hands full a little. I would have loved to have come up previously, but I was dealing with some very serious issues in the city.
Matt. I'm John. Sorry. The issue of dangerousness when it comes to bail reform, that's something that you've spoken about. It's also something that the leaders have publicly said they do not intend on revisiting. Did they say anything to you during meetings that gave you any sort of other impression?
I wasn't looking for impressions. I was looking to come in and share my thoughts. I shared my thoughts, they shared their thoughts, and it was a very healthy dialogue, and we're going to be focused on doing what we could possibly do to keep our city safe, and that's where we are right now.
Are there any changes to the bail reform laws that you would find acceptable without a change in that dangerousness thing?
Well, we keep talking, using the one term to talk about all that we need to do. And that's what I really hope that we can move away from that. I know it's challenging to do so. Discovery is important to me. We should get discovery right. Loaded firearms are important to me. There's areas that I did in my report of the blueprint to end gun violence. I pointed out those things that are important, and I'm going to continue to have conversations with my colleagues on why it's important. And many of them pointed out. They pointed out, Eric, when you were here, you were an advocate for reform. This is my legacy. And they pointed out you were also an advocate for public safety. So it's public safety and justice is what I'm fighting for.
Last couple right here and right here.
Mr. Mayor, this is your first time returning to Albany, obviously, as mayor. Do you feel that you have to kind of relearn the ways of Albany? The capital is a lot different than your time serving in here years ago. So you kind of relearn it?
If you were to go back to Senator Markey, Albany is the same. It's the same Albany. Politics is local. You develop a relationship with the local elected. You go in and advocate on those things that are important. You navigate these halls. You walk these halls. That's how you get stuff done. This has always been a place where you respect the leadership and you respect the electeds and you respect the committee chairs and you develop that relationship. So there's nothing, once you learn how to ride a bike, you still got to balance yourself. And I'm still balancing myself to understand the combination of justice and safety. And there's so many other issues. We're looking at earned income tax credit, universal child care, raising the limit on our borrowing. There's so many issues that we have to look at that I have to navigate up here, and this is how it's done. And we were doing this years ago, and we're doing it now. This is the game of Albany, and I'm blessed that I learned it, I know it, and I could come up here and share my vision for the city. Okay. Yes.
Mayor Adams, your blueprint to end gun violence has been the kind of largest policy that you've introduced thus far during your term as mayor, but for it to succeed, a lot of cooperation is going to be needed from Albany, from Washington. Does it concern you that so much of your mayoralty might be staked on something that you can't actually control?
No, it does not. Here was my job. My job was to say, here's a person that spent his life fighting for reform, and a person that spent his life fighting for safety. Eric, lay out what is in the way of reform and safety. That's what I did. Now, I brought Biden to the city to look at what I felt the river that needed to be dammed or bringing guns in. I came to Albany. I shared it with my Albany. I'm sharing it with my city council. So if they help me with this, I think we're going to get some huge wins. If I am not getting the things I laid out in a blueprint, I still have the obligation of keeping the city safe. That's why we're putting in place our anti-gun unit. That's why we're going to make sure that we go after the causes and feeders of crime. I can't turn around and say, well, I didn't get help from different places, so now my city is not safe. Nope, I'm not accepting that. My job is to make New Yorkers safe. That's my job. If I get help from other places, that's fine. Without that help, I still must make sure that New Yorkers are safe. And I'm not going to use any excuse for not doing that. We're going to have a safe city. Thank you very much.
Guys, thanks.
Thank you.